Dow Jones stock average dipped under 4,000 points today.
You see it in the stock market's volatility.
It's
violent wealth loss.
Bad for the rich people. Can you imagine how bad it is for me and you?
Good evening, America. I'm Jay Knight. Our nation is slipping deeper and deeper into a crisis never seen before. Oil and gas shortages have crippled manufacturing and transportation across...
While conflicts in the Mideast have virtually cut off all oil imports to the United States.
What are you saying? Are you saying that the American people aren't taking care of their own country?
Global States Oil Corporation suffered yet another major spill off the Gulf Coast.
We're seeing an unprecedented, totally unexpected
And as a result,
collapse.
rail travel has reemerged as the only affordable means of freight and passenger transportation.
Mr. Speaker, we would like to propose a bill to make it illegal to fire employees from profitable corporations.
Our government has put a moratorium on all wage increases and recently passed the Fair Price Bill, restricting increases in the price of most goods and services. This is your wake-up call, America.
Another government relief ship was hijacked late last night by pirate Ragnar Daneskjöld.
Violence and crime are skyrocketing throughout the nation.
Engage. Not locked up.
Shift into manual.
Good evening, and welcome to the Jay Knight Hour. My guests tonight are James Taggart, CEO of Taggart Transcontinental Railroad, Wesley Mouch, a noted Washington lobbyist from the Philadelphia law firm Young, Stevens & Sachs, and Ellis Wyatt, the oil and gas entrepreneur who is responsible for the current economic boom in Colorado. My first question is to Mr. Taggart. Sir, your company is one of the few managing to survive in our current economic downturn, yet there have been dozens of derailments on your lines in the last year alone. How do you explain that?
With any growth, there can be growing pains. People shouldn't have to worry about how they're going to get where they need to go. We must act to benefit society as a whole.
People aren't going to be going anywhere without oil. That means the railroads like Mr. Taggart's need to be fixing their railways here instead of adding new ones like those in Mexico.
Can I get a cup of coffee?
He makes a very good point, Mr. Taggart.
Do you have any money?
Our motto is...
I got plenty of money.
And Taggart Transcontinental is committed to sharing the burden in these tough...
Hey, what happened to you?
Expanding our lines into more and more territories.
Who's John Gall?
We don't need more rail lines. We just need the ones we have to be reliable.
Mr. Mouch, let me ask you, what can the government do to help turn things around?
Well, prices are too high. We have a nation in crisis. Every business must lend a helping hand, Mr. Wyatt. Gasoline prices are $37.50 a gallon. The Mideast has imploded, creating a worldwide oil shortage.
We have plenty of oil right here in the U.S.
Oh, joy.
But because of political shenanigans and backroom
One
deals,
slice
we're still
of cherry
dependent
pie,
on foreign
as
oil.
usual.
The
Punctual as
problem
always.
now is reliable transport.
And Taggart Transcontinental is providing Wyatt Oil excellent rail transportation in order to get his oil to the people.
Your Rio Norte line is so incompetent that I've had to switch to the Phoenix Durango.
Yes, after years of excellent service from us.
From your father. Since you've taken the reins, that company's gone
Gentlemen,
right
gentlemen,
downhill.
let's stay on
Everybody
topic.
knows that.
Have caused consumers to be less reliant on
Are you
trucks.
kidding me? You couldn't get my
dry
grandmother
now.
from Denver to
See you
Chicago.
tomorrow, Mr. Mulligan.
They have gone to the railroads for the benefits that they provide.
People can't count on companies like Taggart Transcontinental to deliver.
Midas Mulligan. Who's asking?
Someone who knows what it's like to work for himself and not let others feed off the profits of his energy.
It's funny. Exactly what I've been thinking.
We're alike, you and I.
Who are you?
This is a story that begins on a warm spring night at a meeting of the 20th Century Motors employees. It is a night I'll never forget. When the owner of the company died, his children took over and brought in a new plan to run the factory. plan was that everybody would work as hard as they could, but share in their salaries and the profit based on need. That is, those who claimed they needed the money most were the ones who got paid the most.
This is a crucial moment in the history of this company. Remember, each of us now belongs to the other by the moral law we all voted for and we all accept.
I don't. I don't accept it.
His words caused confusion, but he stood there like a man who knew he was right.
And I'm going to put a stop to this once and for all.
How?
I'll stop the motor of the world.
And with those words, he was gone. In the 12 years that followed, lights went out in the great factories which had stood as solid as oak trees for generations. Their gates closed as if some silent power had turned them into lifeless shells. The world was quietly crumbling, with no end in sight. The high seas weren't safe anymore. Cargo no longer reached its destination. Shortages grounded airlines, and it was too expensive for most to drive. Regulations strangled the production of coal, gas, oil, and nuclear power. Power outages were frequent because no copper was available to maintain the transmission lines. Taggart Transcontinental, the largest railroad in the country, was one of the few things still operating. We began to wonder. We began to talk about what he'd said and thought maybe he'd kept his word. That perhaps he had stopped the motor of the world. Some even tried to look for him, but he had vanished without a trace. And so had a lot of other people. We wondered what sort of impossible power he had to keep his promise. All the best and the brightest seemed to be disappearing without explanation. Perhaps people kept asking the question because they knew something had gone missing from the world. Perhaps this is why we began to say it. We couldn't help but think of the young lab engineer who said he would stop the motor of the world. You see, his name was...
Who is
John Galt.
The clip you just saw originated from a book called Atlas Shrugged, written by a woman named Ayn Rand, made into a 3-part movie series. All right, and it's a very particularly interesting movie series and book, all right, because it definitely is showing what's coming, all right. On my channel, I've talked quite frequently about a man named Doc Marquis, who I was befriended by. He was ex-Illuminati. He became a Christian, and for over 35 years he served the Lord before he, unfortunately, his life was taken from him. All right, and it's something that I haven't talked about much on this channel, but me and Doc actually had a very extensive conversation about the book Atlas Shrugged and what it pertained to, and this was actually a conversation that happened before the movies even came out, which I find very interesting, and then they came out with the movies eventually. All right, and so what he told me was that Ayn Rand herself okay, Ayn Rand herself, was one of the mistresses of one of the Rothschilds. And she was under Illuminati orders to write this extremely lengthy book. All right, extremely lengthy book. She was under Illuminati orders to do so. All right, is what Doc was very adamant about when he told me about it. I asked him, I said, Doc, why, what was the purpose of writing the book? And he said, purely to tell the world what they plan to do to them, because obviously we know that Satan has to reveal his plans in a certain way, and the people who are smart enough, able to decode what's happening, are the ones that are going to have the heads up. You know what I mean? God's people perish for lack of knowledge. We definitely can see that they've been predictably programming society for quite some time. Now, in Atlas Shrugged, what you're going to notice is that there's a falling apart of society. There's a falling apart. There's a fuel crisis. Check out this Illuminati card here. All right, there's a fuel crisis that they have brewing even right now as we speak, because they want to transfer the world over to this electrical vehicle grid, solar power, windmill power that's honestly quite unstable. It's a very unstable grid that they have planned for the world. And I don't think it's going to work out as planned. All right. And they're trying to maneuver us away from oil, which is going to cause a fuel crisis. If you noticed in that clip that you just saw, that they said that fuel cost over $30 a gallon. I think it was like $37 a gallon in the movie. All right. And so that means there's something about to happen that's going to take place that's going to be quite interesting. All right. I don't know if it's going to happen before the Great Tribulation or during the Great Tribulation, but I do know that it's coming, because they're telling you what they have planned to do to the world. They plan to stop the motor of the world. We've seen, economic trade, the moving of commerce and things like that slowed down, especially during the first pandemic. We saw it, and shipping containers on ships that were just sitting out to port, floating, a flotilla of them, hundreds of ships off our ports, not able to bring supplies in, and even in the clip you saw that there was pirates that were robbing these ships, and we see that a lot of Somali pirates are robbing these ships. A lot of these ships are being attacked by Yemen, the Houthis in Yemen. This is all pre-planned. This is all coordinated, all right, and it all plays into this book in the movie series Atlas Shrugged. Now, if you do notice that because fuel and commerce and everything has become so expensive in this clip you saw, all right, that it eventually came down to transportation that's affordable only being able to be done by train, all right. And then if you notice in the clip, the train comes upon a track the track is bent. All right, and in the movie, you actually find out there's all these disasters that start happening with these trains. And isn't that happening right now? They have been telling us what they're going to do to us. They've been telling us what they have planned, and I think it definitely lines up. All right, and so something that I want to point out in Atlas Shrugged is that John Galt keeps visiting all these prominent people. All right, and in the movie, as you go on and on with it, there's scientists even that are being visited, all right, by John Galt, and that are disappearing. Now, I can't say definitively what exactly is happening, but I am noticing there are a lot of different scientists. There's homeopathic scientists and homeopathic doctors and things like that, and people who are coming up dead. They're literally coming up dead. Now, are they really dead? Are they being taken? I don't know. But it definitely plays into what we're seeing, the agenda behind this book.
The following are actual facts surrounding the mysterious deaths of top microbiologists over a decade prior to the 2020 pandemic. Professor Wiley performed biological research, sometimes jointly funded by the Department of Defense and the NIH. He was an expert on the human immune response to infection and had recently investigated several dangerous viruses, including HIV, Ebola, herpes, and influenza. Professor Wiley's body was recovered from the Mississippi River about a month after his disappearance. More biologists started to die under suspicious circumstances. Many were world-acclaimed scientific researchers specializing in infectious diseases and biological agents, such as anthrax, HIV, and DNA sequencing. As the body count of infectious disease experts continued to climb, connections to weapons research began to surface. By 2005, we lost 40 microbiologists in less than 4 years. Some were found stabbed to death in the trunk of cars, and some wrapped their cars around trees after their brake fluid disappeared. During this time, it was discovered that they all worked for the government or government contractors on projects related to bioterrorism, flu pandemics, or anthrax.
All right, I find it very interesting to say the least. And there is actually a little TV show that came out on Netflix where the whole entire beginning of the show is literally based on all these prominent people, prominent scientists getting killed. All right, and it's a TV show called Three Body Problem. All right, and in it there is some very strange events leading up to aliens coming and visiting Earth. We're definitely in something here. There's definitely something strange going on, definitely something tangible that we can see in the predictive programming and in the way that they're showing us the events unfolding, all right, what they have planned, and we know that something big is right around the corner, and that's why I'm making this video, and that's why I want to expose what's going on. I started with this, but we're going to finish with Three Body Problem. And I also want to say that, you know, I find it very interesting in the TV show Three Body Problem, all right, that there's all these scientists that are passing away, being murdered or whatever, or killed, okay? And it's just like in Atlas Shrugged, where, you know, these scientists and bankers and all these different prominent people and CEOs are coming up missing. Okay, and so we're seeing that take place now. I mean, there's so many parallels to what is in this book, what is in this book compared to Three Body Problem, compared to what's going on now. All right, and it's something I noticed a long time ago, but I didn't know how to fit it all together and show people in a video what exactly is happening. And so it's something that I noticed. I'm like, man, there's a lot of connections there, and I need to make a video about that. But, you know, I'm going to show you the trailer for Three Body Problem now, and you tell me what you think in the comment section below.
There must be 30 dead scientists in the past month. Christ, another countdown.
Has anyone else seen it? What happened to them?
Someone or something is targeting scientists.
They're going after our best and brightest. There's someone behind everything. You just have to dig.
Whatever it is, it's watching and listening.
We don't know what they are. Maybe we can't know what they are.
Do you believe in God?
You're scared. You're right to be scared. But we have got one shot, and I need your help.
Prepare yourself for something very strange.
They are coming, and there's nothing you can do to stop them.
Isn't that interesting, people? Something I want to also point out is that, you know, if you notice in Three-Body Problem, the sky, the stars were literally blinking, all right? It's like, whoa, what's going on there? What's going on there? And I'll be honest with you, I felt hard in my spirit. I mean, like, boom, it was, the Lord put it on my heart. He's like, that lines up, all right, with what they're doing with this fake Aurora Borealis, and it absolutely is fake. Check this video out.
And it's getting crazier now. Like just in the last week, there was some crazy, what they called northern lights or Aurora Borealis all over the world, even in the southern hemisphere, which is not supposed to be really possible. And it filled up the entire sky in many areas, and it was like purple and pink, and everyone was just so amazed, like, wow, it's the Aurora Borealis. No, it's not. They don't pay attention, and the news isn't going to say a thing. But if you pay any attention whatsoever, HAARP announced a few weeks ago, research campaign, HAARP, High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, May 8th and 10th, operated by the Geophysical Institute at the University of Alaska, Fairbanks. High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program is based in Alaska, and it's a high-powered, high-frequency transmitter for studying the ionosphere. The principal instrument is a phased array of 180 high-frequency cross-dipole antennas. They're just out there going, wow, look at the beautiful lights of Mother Nature. It's the US government, and we don't really know what they're trying to do here, but I've got some theories on it. Yeah, no one seems to notice anything. There's even tons of evidence of what they were doing, even though they announced it, so we don't even really need evidence. They said that's what they're doing. And by the way, like, I don't really know what they're doing, but I know they've been chemtrailing like crazy. And now they do this test, and all of a sudden the entire sky is filled with all kinds of colors. It could be that now that they got a lot of the skies chemtrailed everywhere, that they're working on their projection stuff for Project Bluebeam.
We're experiencing a fake Aurora Borealis, people, and there's stuff going on in the heavens, great and fearful sights, but people are like, ooh and ah over this stuff. But I'm telling you right now, something dangerous is going on. There is games that they are playing. They are trying to do something, man. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it don't feel right, people. None of this feels right. It's all super foreign. And I'll tell you right now, living in the north, I've always lived in the north, okay? And I'll tell you right now, I have seen the Aurora Borealis throughout my childhood, throughout my teenage years, into my adulthood, many times, okay? And I'll tell you right now, it's usually like green and purple, okay? Is usually the colors. This pink and all these, you know, red and all this different stuff. This stuff isn't normal, all right? This absolutely is not the regular Aurora Borealis. The Aurora Borealis usually happens in the late fall into the winter, all right? And they've always said that it's because of the glaciers on the top of the earth and the sunlight refracting off the glaciers, okay? That's what they've always told us that the Aurora Borealis is. What's happening right now with this Aurora Borealis just does not make sense. And it honestly, like, it looks too similar to what's going on in that television show Three-Body Problem with the sky blinking. Check this video out.
I observed the universe winking.
How can it be happening?
Can't. Shit, it's a code.
What does it say? What does it say?
接触。接触谁？
地球以外的任何生命。
What is that? Not Clarence. He's our enemy.
It's not letters. It's just numbers.
Which numbers?
10, 34, 06, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Isn't that crazy, people? It's going to come to the point where they're going to be able to control the sky in some way. I know that with this whole fake aurora borealis, there's a part of me that believes HAARP has something to do with it. These are high frequencies. And not too long ago, they were talking in the news about HAARP being able to manipulate stuff in the sky so much as to be able to cause advertisements for, like, even Coca-Cola talked about it, like advertisements appearing in the sky. Now, if they can do that, all right, and think about it, then we got that, you know, that we got that scripture that says the sun will be darkened and the moon shall not give its light and the stars, you know, shall withdraw their shining. Okay, isn't that interesting how the lights are blinking? I think something big is coming, people. I think something that's coming is so big, and it's Project Bluebeam, it's HAARP, it's all of it, and it's all interconnecting. I can't tell you exactly what their end game is right here with all of this, but something is brewing that I think is going to completely shock the world. And I do really, honestly, genuinely believe in the pit of my gut that it has something to do with their demonic alien agenda that they have planned to be able to explain away the pre-tribulation rapture. And so I wanted to make this video kind of showing, man, all this stuff is lining up, and it just, you know, when we start talking the false flag alien agenda, all right, the pre-tribulation rapture is right around the corner, my brothers and sisters in Christ. When especially we start hearing about that, we've been seeing, you know, aliens land in Las Vegas and backyards, and beings of light in Brazil, and giants all over the place, and all these different things that are happening. I can't tell you what's fact from fiction when we look at all this video footage, all right? We do know that something is going on, but I'm telling you, biblical things are happening. Biblical signs are taking place, and man is trying to play God and manipulate whatever he can in these last days to try to deceive mankind into taking a part and being in this new world order that's coming. All right, and we have to stand tall as Christians. We have to stand on the solid foundation of the Word of God right here in our hands. We have to stand on this Word. We have to know what this says, so that way we aren't deceived, because it says that the deception will be so great that it could even possibly deceive the very elect, the 144,000 Jews left during the Great Tribulation. Now, some people will argue with that. Everybody's got their own opinion, but I believe it's the 144,000 Jews that are left behind to minister to mankind of God's righteousness, of Jesus, that Jesus Christ is the Messiah, and that many people will be saved through that, and that not one hair on their heads can be harmed. We know it talks about it in the book of Revelation. And so, you know, we have to know what's in the Bible so we aren't deceived in what's coming, because Project Bluebeam and HAARP and CERN, and I mean, even in that video, Three-Body Problem, you saw they had that Tetron Collider, man, that CERN, you know what I'm saying, that we've all kind of seen that image of CERN. It's all a part of it, people. It's all a part of it. So I wanted to make this video to make people aware of what's going on. I wanted to show you that they've been writing about this stuff for forever. This is a 35th anniversary edition, and this is quite old in and of itself. You know, they've been planning this stuff for 40, 50 years. You know what I mean? And it's finally coming to fruition. Their plan is finally starting to gain traction, and they're getting a foothold in the door. And so be aware, be watching, and keep your eyes on heaven above, because all these signs happening, all this stuff taking place, just lets us know that we're going home even sooner than what we think. I appreciate each and every single one of you that have watched this video up till now. May God bless you all. May he keep you. And please don't forget to go out and change this world in which you live.